Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going totally undercover. We're going to expose the secret playbook that compliance professionals use to get you to just automatically say yes. We're decoding Robert Cialdini's absolute landmark research on the psychology of persuasion. So we'll dive right into the mental shortcuts we all use every day and look at how certain people literally exploit those shortcuts for profit.
Let's start with a really simple question. Have you ever bought something you didn't even want? Maybe it was an unwanted magazine subscription or a ticket to some charity ball you had absolutely no intention of attending. Well, if you've ever felt duped by a fast-talking salesperson, you are definitely not alone. Actually, Cialdini himself admits to being an easy mark his whole life. And that's exactly why he spent 3 years going deep undercover as a sales trainee just to figure out why we actually comply.
Okay, so the foundation of all of this is a concept called click whir. Think about it like this. In nature, mother turkeys are fiercely protective of their chicks, right? But here's the crazy part. Only if the chick makes a very specific cheep, cheep sound. Seriously, if you take a stuffed polecat, which is the turkey's natural enemy, and put a recorder inside playing that exact cheep, cheep, the mother turkey will actually embrace it. No way, right? But it's true. The sound triggers a biological tape. Click, the tape plays, whir, the automatic behavior rolls. And guess what? As humans, we have these exact same pre-programmed tapes. In our crazy, fast-paced modern world, we kind of need these mental shortcuts just to survive. But the exploiters, yeah, they know exactly how to hit play on our tapes and get us to surrender without even thinking.
So here's our quick agenda for today. We'll cover the science of saying yes, reciprocity and consistency, social proof and liking, authority and scarcity, and finally defending against manipulation. All right, jumping right into Section 1, the science of saying yes and unlocking those automatic responses. Moving on to Section 2, this is reciprocity and consistency, the traps of obligation. Now, the absolutely crucial point here is being able to tell the difference between a genuine favor and a manipulative sales tactic. You see, the rule of reciprocity is totally baked into human society. From birth, we're basically trained that we have to return favors. But compliance practitioners exploit this big time. Take the Amway bug, for example. It's this free trial kit of household products a salesperson just leaves at a customer's home. It feels exactly like a gift, right? But when the salesperson comes back, the customer feels this overwhelming, heavy obligation to buy the products they'd partially used. It's a total trick. It's designed specifically to release that natural, indebting force of a gift. But what's really fascinating here is how this rule of reciprocity applies to concessions, too. Cialdini calls this the rejection then retreat tactic. He actually experienced this firsthand when a Boy Scout asked him to buy a $5 ticket to a circus. When Cialdini said no, the boy didn't miss a beat. He immediately said, "Well, if you don't want the tickets, how about a couple of our chocolate bars for only $1 each?" And Cialdini bought them instantly, even though he didn't even want chocolate. See what happened? The boy made a concession by retreating from $5 down to $1. So Cialdini's automatic click whir response was to make a reciprocal concession by buying the candy. It's a brilliant trap. A staggering 700%. That number perfectly illustrates our next weapon, consistency. We humans have this deep, deep psychological drive to be consistent with what we've already said or done. Here's a wild example. Researchers once casually called residents and asked them to predict if they would theoretically volunteer 3 hours for the American Cancer Society. Well, not wanting to sound uncharitable on the phone, most people said yes. But when the actual request came days later, boom, there was a shocking 700% increase in actual volunteers. Just getting you to make a tiny initial commitment sets that automatic behavior tape rolling.
Okay, let's dive into Section 3, social proof and liking, following the crowd and friends.
So the principle of social proof basically states that we figure out what's correct by looking at what other people think is correct. It makes sense most of the time, right? But man, this can lead to a really deadly phenomenon called pluralistic ignorance or bystander apathy. Imagine you having a medical emergency in a crowded place. People are going to look around, see that nobody else is panicking, and just automatically assume everything is fine. So how do you actually defeat this? Well, the solution is to isolate one single individual. You literally point directly at them and say, "You, sir, in the blue jacket, call an ambulance right now." Doing that strips away their uncertainty and completely short-circuits that faulty social proof.
Now let's shift gears and explore the liking rule. Simply put, we naturally prefer to say yes to requests from people we actually know and like. But here's the kicker. Exploiters manufacture this liking using specific triggers. They'll emphasize similarity, like claiming they grew up right near your hometown. Or they'll just use straight-up compliments.
Take Joe Girard, who's celebrated as the world's greatest car salesman. Get this. He sent out 13,000 simple cards to his customers every single month with just 3 words printed inside. I like you. I mean, it sounds ridiculously transparent, doesn't it? But as humans, we are absolutely phenomenal suckers for flattery. It works.
Moving right along to Section 4, Authority and Scarcity, the pressure to act now. From the time we're kids, we're trained to obey legitimate authorities. But the scary truth is, we are incredibly easily fooled by just the mere symbols or illusions of authority. There was this famous TV commercial back in the day where actor Robert Young confidently gave medical advice recommending decaffeinated Sanka coffee. The thing is, he wasn't a real doctor. He just played Marcus Welby, MD, on television. Yet the commercial was a massive success. It totally proves that compliance professionals don't even need a real expert. Just the mere appearance of authority is more than enough to trigger our automatic deference.
Next up is the scarcity principle. Check out this famous cookie taste test experiment. When cookies were abundant in a jar, they were rated the lowest in desirability. Makes sense. When they were artificially made scarce, the rating went up. But what's truly fascinating is the final condition. Cookies were rated the absolute most desirable, not just when they were scarce, but when they became scarce because other people wanted them. Scarcity combined with direct social rivalry? That is the ultimate explosive mix used by auctioneers and limited-time offer salespeople to get us to bite.
All right, our final section, Section 5, Defending Against Manipulation, Taking Back Control.
So how do we protect ourselves? Well, when dealing with salespeople, you have to really monitor your own internal emotional reactions. If you feel a sudden, rapidly escalating fondness for, say, a car salesman, let that be your alarm bell. You got to ask yourself a really simple question. Have I come to like this person faster than I logically should? If the answer is yes, you must consciously and aggressively mentally separate the dealer from the deal. Remember, you aren't driving the salesman off the lot, right? You're driving the car. You have to judge the product purely on its own merits.
And here's a really crucial takeaway from Cialdini himself. He argues that we shouldn't just passively defend ourselves. We actually need to strike back. Counterfeit social proof, manufactured authority, and fake scarcity, they literally pollute the mental shortcuts we desperately need to navigate our super complex lives. Cialdini says we should actively write letters, complain, and boycott brands that use deceptive compliance tactics. In a way, we're kind of in a war to protect our reliable rules of thumb.
Okay, to wrap up our explainer today, I've got a fun little question for you. Think about everything we literally just covered. Since we just spent the last few minutes giving you all this free, highly valuable insider information to protect your wallet and your mind, what does the psychological rule of reciprocity dictate that you should do next? That's right, the only logical, automatic click-where response is to smash that like button right now. Come on, prove to us that these psychological principles of reciprocation really do work. It's a totally fair exchange, and honestly, it really helps us out. Thank you so much for joining us as we decoded the playbook of persuasion. And hey, until next time, keep your mental autopilot in check.